What's up? What's up? Facebook, family. Happy Malcolm X birthday. May 19th. We tuning in live. Our first Facebook live series with our peoples from the open doors. We're gonna introduce them in a minute. We just wanna start off with a extremely heartfelt honor to one of our ancestors. And one of our important people in teaching us how to heal, how to love, how to redeem themselves, how to build community. And shout out to all of our community and elders around the world, around the country, who are celebrating, who are commemorating one of our elders and one of our ancestors by taking trips to the gravesite, putting on events, putting on programs. Thank you to his family, to his sister. We are so in love and so grateful for Malcolm X. Family, we got a dope event. We are starting our Facebook Live webinar series. And H.O.L.L.A has been organizing to further develop Black liberation as a practice of building collective consciousness and our collective capacity to not only fight against the war, but to dream and live beyond the war, right? And when we talking about the war, we talking about what our brother Malcolm taught us, and so many more of our elders and ancestors about the African Mayafa, which really describes how African cosmological, let me bring that back, African cosmological and origin story was destroyed by European and Indo-European people, and the enslavement, colonization, and the cultivation of white supremacy violence against Black, Brown, and Indigenous people all over the world, right? And the building up of state and institutional structures that maintain the Mayafa. So when we talk about the Mayafa, we talk about the war. Everybody out there, say that with me, the Mayafa. We are talking about how violence, right, is sustained through intersections and across multiple levels, right? And today we're gonna focus on the historical violence, but we also Mayafa. We also know that they got systematic or structural violence, right? And then we internalize that in our interpersonal relationships, interpersonal violence. And then we got internalized violence. And the war is maintained through all of these functions. And this is even particularly more real for youth and communities that are impacted by the 7 neighborhood phenomena. What's the 7 neighborhood phenomena? Since 1960, particularly in New York State, there's been 7 neighborhoods in New York City that feeds over 75% of New York State prison system. Shout out to the Greenhaven think tank. Shout out to the Bedford Hill sisters. Shout out to the Resurrection Study Group, our organizing formations in prison that help us reveal that information that our communities are continually getting attacked by the war. And today, we're going to focus on that historical violence layer of the war, right? Because we believe that historical part stops a lot of our healing, stops a lot of our spiritual renewal, so that we can keep moving forward in our everyday life to fight for Black liberation. And building on Dr. Joy DeGeary, building on Dr. Maria Yellow Braveheart, we think about generational trauma, historical trauma, as the cumulative emotional and psychological wounding and scarring and killing and colonization that happens across generations and within your own individual lifespan, right? And they talk about how Indigenous people got put into boarding schools, how America gave false treaties. Dr. Joy DeLeary talks about how African people went through chattel slavery in America, and went through continuous violence after chattel slavery with Jim Crow, convict leasing, the new Jim Crow era, mass incarceration. It's like, when do the violence over history ever stop? right? So we got some wonderful guests today, and this is going to be an important conversation to talk a little bit about the war and historical trauma, but how we healing from it, right? And particularly H.O.L.L.A, we have put focus on this over the last year, and we've been doing work going to memorial sites. We call it our Legacy Project Tour, Healing Historical Trauma. And we've been going to historical sites across the country and outside of the country where our families and communities have fought against the war. And we've been having circles at these spots. South Carolina with the Gullah Geechee people, Atlanta with Martin Luther King, North Carolina with the Green Boroughs 4, Egypt or Kemet studying ancient African culture. We went to Virginia to study Nat Turner. And we have circles before we go to these places, learning about the context, learning about the history of it, reminding ourselves. And then we go there and have circles at the space, right? So this Facebook Live conversation is an extension of collecting, documenting, understanding how we heal through historical trauma. And with that being said, I'm going to pass it to our guests so they can keep cooking with me. So I'm going to open up by saying, let the people know. We Facebook Live right now. Let them know who you be, who your legacy is, you know, where you rep. And then also, if you want to add anything else about the war or about historical trauma so that, you know, they can understand what we talk about, feel free to do that. Peace.
What's going on, everybody? Corey, thanks for having us. My name is Vince from an organization called Open Doors. I'm the co-director, Reality Poets. And yeah, I'm from upstate New York, little Newburgh, New York. Yeah, and I'm gonna let the rest of the guys introduce themselves and then go in about this war.
How y'all doing? Peace, family. I'm L, Open Doors, Reality Poet, part of the design team, me involved, and we here to, you know, speak and build and let y'all know what's going on with this trauma and how we could build for it, how we can heal from it. And this is a conversation that we all need to have in our homes and our families. This is a big topic right now, and we gotta get things organized and come back as one.
I like how you put like in our homes and our places with our close friends. Because just because we having this live, that don't mean we ain't going through some of this. Like we ain't gonna get some of this wisdom for our own relationships, right? So we here to heal ourselves too. Var, you want to check in?
Peace. My name is Var. Part of Open Doors design team. Reality Poet. Representing Brooklyn, Fort Greene.
So these Open Doors, and these are some really amazing people. They do healing work. They got a documentary coming out. They share their stories with multiple communities, young people like them, people not like them, people working in organizations, people on blocks. They doing their own personal transformation, coming from the lifestyles that they come from. So, you know, this is good for, you know, once again, you know, when we met them, we was on starting our healing justice movement, our own healing journey. And it ain't like we just bringing them on to talk. Like, I would assume we've been critical in their journey in healing, and they definitely been critical in our journey in healing. They've been part of our hope. So I just want to give that echo to who they are too. Y'all want to add in about anything about the war, about what historical trauma mean to y'all?
Yeah, and it's something that, like, when you think about historical trauma, generational trauma, and you start thinking back, and it's like it's bad enough that we're already labeled for the color of our skin, and already people already have their predictions of you, and just like me, for instance, growing up, like I had a last name where that carried a lot of generational trauma, and like people expected what I was already going to be, and I became that. And
Talk about it.
yeah, by becoming that, it got me being shot and paralyzed and put in a wheelchair for the rest of my life.
Mm.
And as I learned how to heal from it, is I think the first steps of healing is realizing that that shit ain't really what it's supposed to be, and trying to break that. I wouldn't want to say curse, but trying to break it within like your children, and like teaching the next generation after you what people wasn't teaching you, and by doing that is taking your experiences and people seeing your experiences and trying to flip it and do the opposite.
Yeah. Nah, you getting us cooking already. Anybody else want to go in, but also give us some framing about the war if you got to, and historical trauma. And if you want to go in too. We here.
Yeah, I would like to say, like, going to the war is like the war is the cause or the reason why we mostly got this trauma, where it really start from. And not only the war, where it start from, because it even goes farther back, but it was at the time of the war, it actually disrupted everything, because the households was a unit, and everybody was one. Everybody had the mind was right, and it was focused. It wasn't, the mental wasn't to where it is today. And this is why we need to carry on what our foreparents always teaches us to you, to the youth, and to the next generation, and explaining them this is how things is done the proper way, and have a better, so they can have a better understanding. And I see that a lot of that is not being passed down. And this is why we gotta be able to pass on the information that our foreparents always give us, because it's important. And this war that we dealing with, like, we gotta shake this trauma. How we gonna shake this trauma? Like, we gotta speak on it. We gotta build on it. We gotta break these bad habits. We gotta break this. Like you said, you don't want to say it's a curse, but some people say it's a curse. And it's like, this is what we gotta do in order to break past it.
Same question to you, Var. Thank you for keeping it going. You want to talk about the war? You want to talk about historical trauma? Anything you want to add to that?
As far as historical trauma, my historical trauma,
You went back on mute.
can you hear me?
Yeah, you good.
My historical trauma, I guess, would be the fact of me being paralyzed, and it carried on to my kids, because for one, I was shot in front of my son, in front of my oldest son, and it mentally messed him up for a little while, and I also have kids after, so the younger kids, it also affected them, because they feel like they don't get to feel how other kids feel when their parents come and their father come to school night, or come pick them up from school or stuff like that. So that's the little family trauma that I deal with.
Thank you. And I think this is perfect, man, because I think part of what I'm hearing right there is that, you know, we in this war and we carrying it with us, and it could be a curse or it could not be a curse, right? But it's like, I also hear saying we got to speak about it, we got to talk about it, but the thing we saying is, can we recognize it, right? Can we recognize the pain? Because once you could recognize the pain, then you could start saying, like, yo, I got pain. That's what we talking about. I got some pain. Like, yo, this happened to my family because we from Mississippi. Like, this happened to me. Like, yo, this is what happened. This is how it passed down. But if we don't recognize, and that's the thing with us, a lot of our survival tactics is not recognizing it and moving through stuff, you know? Knowing how to get through it. Knowing how to keep the struggle struggling. And sometimes we think that keeping the struggle and struggling is like, I ain't going to tell you this because I'm trying to help you. Or I ain't going to do this because, but then sometimes it's like, yo, I just ain't got time to tell you. I'm just moving. I ain't got time to process myself. So it's a little bit of all of these things that come up in moments where we like, yo, I ain't gonna recognize that pain. But what I hear you saying right now is that, like, Var, particularly, like, yo, I went through something with my child, with my loved one, and you recognizing that. And then I also hear L saying, yo, we got to speak about that. I hear Vince say, and you right now, you live and direct speaking about that, right? So that got to mean something for you right now. And I would assume it's going to mean something on how you know what L was saying, this is how we got to be. So that might mean something tomorrow if you keep doing that. And as your child grow, and as your grandchild grow, and as you grow with your own child, you know, and this is hard work. So this ain't like it's going to happen tomorrow because we in the war. And everybody is internalizing things at different rates, at different speeds and different understandings, right? But I want to go back to the passing it down. Vince said this too. We gotta pass it down. L said the forefathers. We gotta carry it on. And what I'm pushing, and what H.O.L.L.A is pushing when we've been doing our legacy tours, it ain't always going to historical moments where we won at. Some of it is going to historical moments where we experience pain, where we lost, where we seen like something happen to our ancestors and our elders and our family, like damn, that's why we in this situation, right? And also, you see how we grown and journey because we looking at history, so we can see what happened after that. Oh, like we keep going. So I want us to, y'all kind of was doing that, but like let's go into pain, let's go into victory, but it could be in your family. Sometimes there's moments like you be like, damn, I remember when my auntie did that. Like that's how you heal relationships in family. That's how you talk about vulnerability. That's how you hold down family. Maybe it's a scene from a family member. Maybe it's the way your mans and them held you down on the block. Maybe some of us got some special mans in them. Like, damn, son, I wish I could be like him. Like, yo, he official. He hold it down with everybody, son. Like he got a good heart. You know, when we on the block, we be saying that about some people. Like, yo, they got a good heart, man.
Yeah.
So, but we thinking about the war. We thinking about historical trauma. Shout out to Serenity. Var, congratulations on being a grandparent. We got legacy. We got generations. So we know his pain in there, but we know his victories in there. What moments, what stories we wanna remember right now, so that we can just share with each other. So we can share with each other, thinking about healing from the pain, thinking about acknowledging the pain, stuff that we just want to tell our family, our younger generation, and we want to put on record for the future that's gonna watch this in the future.
Yeah, I would definitely say, like, don't wait until it's too late to realize, you know, this war thing and that is real. And like, I feel like it's up to people like me, Var, and L, that did wait till it was too late. You know what I'm saying? And to break this trauma, and by showing other, like, the youth that, you know, like, it ain't gotta be this, it ain't gotta be a grade, you know, for you to finally realize it. Because it's like, And then it's like, when do you realize it? Because there's people getting chances to break it, and not doing it right. You understand what I'm saying? For instance, like a rapper get millions of dollars and have a chance to change his whole family, and fuck it up, and then I said that too late part. Like for me, when I got shot, I wasn't supposed to be where the hell I was at, and it was something in the back of my head kept telling me to leave, but listening to whatever person that was in the back of my head, you know what I'm saying? And I ended up, that's why you definitely gotta listen to you sometimes, and like healing from it is like my way of healing from it is by teaching the youth, by what I'm saying, see the youth going another way, and instead of picking up a gun and shit like that.
Let me stay with you for a minute, because I'm feeling that, man, and I'm going through stuff right now, man, with just my own struggles inside. And I'm somebody that be thinking about healing, talking about healing, and I be saying like, you got to be vulnerable. You got to build your family, but sometimes I got to remind myself that sometimes. Or I got to like find that in myself sometimes. And I think it'd be good to kind of like share more about that too, because I think that's what some of our people be going through in that historical trauma. Like there be moments where like somebody violate them, or they don't feel like they getting loved, or like they had a hard day, or they don't feel like working out, and they like like whatever it is. And sometimes I know for me, and I think I hear with you too. You got like different voices. I don't know. I was trying to get you to a story, but this is even better. Like, cause I think we got different moments. What you lean on in those moments? Like, what comes up inside of you when you having moments of like, damn, I don't know if I want to keep being a healer. I don't want to keep, like, I don't know, like, damn, like, I'm going through this, people on different levels and different understandings, but I'm getting hurt because I'm moving this way. How do you keep trying to like think about healing, think about like being a better you and stuff, and when days be hard?
Yeah, I just remember I'm grateful to be here, because I could have been in the dirt, I could have been in the ground. I was one breath short of not being, of being there, not being here. And I just think about my daughter, man. I got a 14-year-old daughter, man, and I look at her, and like I'm still fighting the war, man, because there's times I might come up on a financial problem, and it's one way I know how to get it fast, and I fight that temptation to fall back into the BS, and like and then like I lean to that way, and just know the consequences of the shit. Just think consequences before action.
Thank you. Al, Val, y'all want to jump in?
Yeah, like D said though, I feel the same way. Especially in our situation. We gotta be every day we wake up. We gotta be thankful that we even still here. Because I know a lot of people that I grew up with and got shot after me and didn't make it. They're not able to be here right now. So I'm one of the fortunate ones that's still able to be here. And when I got shot, my baby mother was 7 months pregnant. So at that point in time, when I was laying on the floor, I didn't even think I was going to be able to see my son born, or be able to see him at all. So I'm grateful that I even got a chance to still be here, to be a part of his life.
Mm. Mm. Thank you. El, you want to jump in on some of that? You want me to ask the question again?
I'm gonna jump in on that. Definitely, what I would say to the youth and just everybody in general, one thing, like V said, is time. Don't waste it. But the main thing I would like to say is find something that you like, that's positive, that's inspirational, that keep you going, and you just focus on that. And that's what, by you focusing on that, all the other stuff around you and all the other BS is just out the window. Cause it's like, start changing your habits. Like, I'm going through a day. I'm gonna do something different. How you change the habit? Break the cycle. Somebody come at me at a certain reaction, I react differently. The usual, instead of the usual way I might react, I react differently in a calmly way. Or however, things go through successfully without a problem. However, sometimes just doing that, you be like, oh, I'm gonna try that sometime. Like, cause it's like sometimes our usual or regular reaction from us individually might seem aggressive, or might feel, or it's like this, or a person might feel offended, or a person, but it's like, let me change the tone of voice, and I guarantee you'll come up with a better outcome. And it's just doing something inspirational, and it's gonna inspire you, and it's gonna motivate you, and you just have to keep in that focus, like all that bad, like you just like my main goal is just focusing on this, like, but just not getting, you don't want to get yourself caught up the temptation to greed, like, that's why I said just keep that positive energy around you and just keep going around places where it's like, I gotta keep things going around me, but everything around me is negative. How can I be positive? Thing. So now that's why you said you just gotta change the narrative, just start doing things different.
So I wasn't planning on going here, man, but I'm gonna just weave into the family, man. I'm weaving into family. Because when I think, we came in on the back screen in the background to talk about we got new family in the building. And for me personally, man, one of the reasons why I within the framework of H.O.L.L.A, why healing from historical trauma is so personal to me, because I feel it the most, like, through my family. It's in the definition. It says, like, it's transmitted through generations. And it's not only that, like, my family, like, some of our last recollection, understanding of who we are starts in, like, Mississippi, and on plantations, right? And so much of who we are got lost during there. So much of who we are got lost during those 400 years on slavery until we ended up in Yazoo City and then Jackson, Mississippi. And then so much years since 1920s, 1930s, our family running to Chicago, New York, Virginia, trying to get away from the terrorist South. And so much relationships were hurt and scattered, like, from people not coming back down South, people getting jobs up north thinking they better than down South. Some people got on drugs, family leave them alone. Some people have children, they children deeply in the street, they getting locked up, they getting killed, nobody ever checked for them. So much talking stuff about each other at the family reunions. And I'm saying this, that, like, my family, I think we dope, man. We love each other. We there for each other. We, like, as black, but that doesn't come without the wear and tear of the war. So much getting whipped with switches. And, like, you can take your pants off and get the stitching cord. Let me put some water on that. And they were just trying to love, trying to protect you too. Like, I don't want you to be outside. You bugging. I better get you before somebody else gets you. But it still don't come without, like, all of that hurt. And then I'm thinking about me personally, somebody went to prison, and this is when my wife was having a child. My child was being born. But so many of our families been in prison, from colonization to plantation to them building the criminal justice system. I'm definitely accountable for what I did and what I played a part in. But, like, the system, the war is trying to incarcerate us all the time. And then I'm thinking about my role and just not being there for my son, and still what we got to go through, and not being there for my wife, my family, and how we still trying to figure out how to build and heal from my own personal actions, but also just being caught up in the war, just coming from Mississippi, coming from that journey. I heard Vaughn talk a little bit about it earlier, about how just the war is wrapped up in some of his family and stuff, his stuff. I think our family, when I think about historical trauma and healing, I think it's important that we just share wisdom with our families and the people listening, about how we struggle, how we tackling this in our own families, and how we see some of this in our own families. I think y'all already hit on that, but I just want to kind of go back to that a little bit more. And y'all can share, if y'all want to share something about like how y'all see historical trauma in y'all families, and then like, also how y'all fighting against it, but also where it's hard at. Because I know in my family it's hard. Like it's hard. Like, to a lot of these people are my elders and my aunties and my grandmas. Like I can't be but I also feel it. I see it. I'm doing so much community building and healing circles with you all. They don't be doing all of that. We don't be doing that in our family. We need some of that too. Why we ain't doing that with all of our family in so many different places? And ever since I know I'm doing it with H.O.L.L.A so much, I'm doing it with, I know what the wisdom and what the feeling feels like when you do some of that. But, and then I map it onto my family and what I see and what I feel and what I learn, because there's so much secrets in our families that's there too. I'm like, damn, we need some of that, man. So, what y'all think, man? How does the war, historical trauma show up in our family, and what's some of the stuff y'all want to share about that?
Yeah, I feel like you grow up, you see like your aunt doing drugs, your pops doing drugs, and then and you don't realize, you don't see the effect that it's having on the rest of the family, unless you really like me being shot, like that affected my mother just as much as it affected me, mentally, and you know, and I feel like when someone is set to break the cycle, like everyone's so used to being one way, and it's hard. It's hard to, like you said, like these healing circles, what we doing now, and like we don't have them with our family because one, you might know it might go down. Somebody might say something. It's going to be argument, and it's going to be. But I think you got to get to that place to heal. Within your family, you might have to cuss each other out, and then come back later and start the healing process. Yeah.
I'm with you, man. Bar, hell, y'all want to add more to that family piece? What you see, how we can work through it.
I can definitely say I don't have my share of arguments with family members and fights or whatever to before we get to that, back to the, or before you even get to, or back to that, I love you stage, and sometimes, like you said, you just might have to go through that, you know, and like I said, I've had my fair share. Right now, I'm dealing with it right now, with a situation with a family member. We kind of arguing or whatever, but eventually we gonna get back to that. Let's go hang out and we love each other stage. But right now, it's kind of, eat out.
Thank you.
Most mainly to me, like my trauma was getting shot and from my family and everything, and that was the main hit. You know, it changed everything, changed my life, and I had to change my way of thinking because it's just me being the person I am on my feet. It's just like I can't be having the same type of attitude how I was because I mean I could probably hurt somebody even more. Like I'm still in the chip, but even still, it's like I had to change my frame of thought, and that's when it's like, all right, that's when the war coming at. It's like the same cycle, seeing these everyday things we all see and grew up around. It's like we know it ain't right. You doing it, you think it's right, or you acting as it's right, but you know it ain't right. So it's like, all right, let me chill from that. Let me stop from that. How can I better myself? I mean, how can I just started doing positive, working out. You know what I mean? Positive, started breathing more, getting into things where it's like I just keep myself distracted away from the negativity and steps. And like I said, ways to just I'm used to doing this, and it's like, but you're gonna get caught up, or you might get in trouble. Wrong place, wrong time. That was for me. You know what I mean? I ain't think it was gonna happen. So it's like that's why I say it's time of the essence. Like, you know what I mean, just do something with positivity and just keep going forward. Shit, the war, like we gotta break the cycle, pass on, and that's what I've been learned. You know, pass on with my grandparents and foreparents who taught us. You know what I mean, like the morals and principles that we're supposed to be teaching and passing on. Like that's what we need to do. And that's what I've learned, and that's what I plan on doing too in the future. I'll pass on the blessing.
Yeah. Nah. I think I'm feeling that. I'm thinking about it's just so much stuff too, man. I think like at the same time I was saying that I feel like a lot of the stuff that H.O.L.L.A does, I see you all doing around healing justice, around community organizing. I think those things I get a lot of wisdom and learnings from that. And I also got a lot of wisdom from my family. Like sometimes they don't see that as healing. They be like, oh, why are you doing that? And then definitely, like I'm thinking about, sometimes I try to share some of these practices with my family, and in little and big ways, they, they sometimes be with it or sometimes build it with me. And then in a little and big ways, and a lot of times they be kind of distant from it. Like, like we like just hearing VAR going, like sometimes like VAR just regularly just went in on like, yo, don't go through it. Like sometimes my family don't want to be talking about what happened. Like I remember asking my family, like my mom's, matter of fact, I was like, what happened to you when your mom's passed away? And she's like, oh, I don't like talking about it. And that's cool. But I just never knew I also never knew nothing about my grandma. So it's like I definitely respect you and want to talk about it. But then how you journey about it, like I'm like I still don't know nothing. I don't know that many stories about my grandma. Like, so how do you somebody understanding that, like knowing who your lineage is, knowing who your family is, trying to talk about your family is important, but also knowing your family, like they might not think talking or sharing stories is that important or healing, or like it, or like we should be in circle and stuff. And then also just even talking about movement, I remember we did like a training together and we were studying about Black liberation and Black power. Like we wanted to learn about that together.
Grandma was diabetic for years.
Yeah, my mom's like, you talking about you don't know about your grandma? Your grandmother was a diabetic for years. See, I learned the story right here. See, I knew I was gonna get some healing today. She's a diabetic for years. I didn't know that till just now. See,
She was. She gave herself shots every morning.
She used to get shots every morning.
She gave herself shots.
She gave herself shots every morning. Dope. And my grandma, shout out to Dame Dorothy Green, my ancestor.
That's your grandmother.
Yeah. This is my altar right here of all of the important women in my family. And this is my grandma, Dorothy. She died in her early 30s. Early 30s, man. So there's many moments, you know, because I'm always trying to heal, trying to build, trying to be vulnerable, that I run into moments where sometimes I handle them well, and sometimes I don't handle them well when I'm trying to share this with my family. And I can be trying to heal with them, and sometimes I don't know if I make it worse, because I don't know if worse is the thing, because I think my heart be good. And I definitely agree with Vince was saying, like, sometimes you got to curse sometimes before you get to the healing. But also, I think all of that is within a balance. You know, I think my yacht, you got to have a balance. You got to have the right curse, the right love, the right knowledge, the right holding space. And everybody is different. Every family relationship, every context, ain't the same balance everywhere. And I definitely be struggling sometimes with that, you know. But I think the main thing I'm asking is, like, do y'all intentionally try to bring some of these lessons and stuff to your family? Because I think that's what I'm asking. And then, is there struggles with that, and how do you move through that? What's some lessons to share how you move through that? If there's any struggles that come up with, like, yo, asking your family to talk about some deep stuff, telling family that don't talk with each other, yo, like, yo, come together, let's have a healing circle. Or even tell them to come to your event, like, yo, come to this circle I'm about to do, come to this event. Some of my family be like, I ain't doing that. Like, what you like? I ain't with all that. Like, what y'all jump in?
I would say it's how you start the conversation. That's the main thing. How you start the conversation. How can we engage in it? Like, how can we sit down? And like you said, like, for me, for how my sit down was for me and my family, like, my mom was like on the weekend, you know, throughout the week she worked. So on the weekends she would cook us breakfast, you know, and so it was like, you know, that was our time for us to sit down. Even, you know, when she was home, I had dinner too, but, you know, sit down, have family time, movie time, and such like that. But it's the main thing is just how can we go about having this conversation? Now we have it, we speak about it. It's been many times we'll have a sit in the kitchen, you know, just be regular, and my mom just start just talking about our grandpa, mama, grandpa, whatever. So it's like, and that's what's up. And it's like just hearing the stories, or even the stories that are at her younger age, like explaining what she's been through and what everybody been through. Is like it's a blessing, because it's like, you know, like you said, everybody's family relationship is different, and I'm thankful that I got, you know, the family relationship I have. I wish it could be even more better. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you said, it's how we go about having that conversation. Like, I speak, but it's like you said, it's like not everybody like, yo, I want to go out and just speak on that, and it's like,
Thank you, man. Anybody else trying to bring this work and intentionally into the family? How it look? What's some struggles? What's some lessons?
Yeah, I would say I haven't yet, but knowing, you know, my family and how we are taught that vulnerability ain't the thing, you know, like being vulnerable ain't the thing, you know, and yeah, I think it would definitely take some convincing with my family, and like I said, I know we gonna go through, you know, the bad to get to the good, but sometimes I learn it's best to get it out and don't hold it in, you know, and you feel a whole lot better once it's out. And then, like I said earlier, you can get to the healing. But as for me, and I haven't brought this to my family as of yet, but I do know, like, they have a lot of generational trauma and historic, you know, and yeah.
Nah, that's a good play. That's I ain't nobody, so I can't give this to the world, but I definitely give it to myself, man. I'm like, I know about generational trauma. I know about healing. I mean, historical trauma. And kind of like, just like how you said it, V. Like, I know my family got that. You heard? I'm like, damn, they got that, son. So I'm like, damn, what you do with that, son? How you gonna be doing all of this, and you know you got that? And I'm like, damn, it's scary, son. Cause you like going into that weave. It's like, that's a weave. That's a cooker. That's a dive. You know, and just by doing it, man, I've been doing it in a certain way, and I've been escalating with my moms, my wife, my son, even my auntie, it's been a rocky road, man. I got a lot of learned lessons, man. And also I ain't been the best in the way too, man, because you know it's just been hard too, man. And there's been moments where it's been beautiful too, because you know, all these people teach me too. I'm like, they like, without them, I couldn't even be here. So they hold me down more than I like. So I'm also like, I understand this historical trauma in a certain way, but also like, even they understand it too. We just like ain't talking about it, like you said. We just ain't sharing those pains and those lessons. But when I hear L talk and like said like, yo, on Saturdays, that's kind of like what H.O.L.L.A was doing the memorial tours. Cause when you just hearing stories about like what your moms went through at 15, at 9, how she grew up, like you just start getting a different perspective of like you probably like, damn, I didn't even know moms was doing all of that. I didn't even know you like, so like you get to even have a different perspective of like your childhood experience. Cause you like, damn, now I know a little bit like who you like I probably couldn't even do what you even did. You know what I'm saying? Like if I be real with myself, like damn, at least you did that. If I had to go through that, I don't even know if I could go through that. But yeah, man. So far, anybody else want to add into that, man? That historical trauma in our family and lessons to share.
Yeah, I want to add on to that because for the last, I could say maybe 3-4 years, me and my brother have been spoken. He don't check on me. We don't check on him. We don't call each other or nothing. But just recently, he reached out to me and told me that he was having a baby, and that kind of broke the little ice tension between us, and made us brought us kind of back together to start speaking. You know, and he even had a baby shower, and I actually went and attended it. And I haven't, seen him, like I said, in the last couple of years. And the tension that between us was real big to where, like, it was like fucking, just basically fucking, But once he said he was having my nephew, I turned with faces and, try to make it a peace.
So we got like 14-ish minutes. 14-ish minutes. So we probably got like one more round. Shout out to the Facebook. Shout out to the folks out there. I wish we could be more interactive with you all, man. I love to hear the feedback and the thoughts. Shout out to Open Doors and to V, VAR, L for just sharing some of their life, some of their stories, spending some time with us. We want to try to close out with some scenes. We already been given a lot of scenes, a lot of stories. We went to the kitchen table, right? We done been in the kitchen table. We done been on blocks getting shot. We done been to Mississippi. So we already done threw out some scenes. Let's keep throwing some more scenes out there. I start us off, man. We want to throw out a scene of healing from historical trauma. With a focus, this is all about with a focus on Black love, Black liberation. And this could be in your work. This could be in your life. Like I said, this could be in a movie you've seen, but that relates to us, that relates to work we do, that relates to my family. Like, share a scene. And I'm going to take us back to 2017. And this one, H.O.L.L.A was really going on in the mix of like launching our healing justice. We were doing circle after circle 2 times a day, every day of the week. And we went to our first big camping trip. And it was around May too. And shout out to Chino with the Center for New Leadership. Happy birthday, Chino. Chino was part of leading that for us. And the thing that was so dope, it was around my birthday too. So it was during the days we stayed there. It was my birthday. It was like a 4-day spiritual camping trip. We went like 40 deep. all of H.O.L.L.A, all of the Center for New Leadership, our young people. My wife went with us. Our son, me and my wife were separated at the time. So we wasn't even together. And that was a critical moment in us getting back together and healing. That was just so beautiful. It was just so much journey and so much love that happened since then, and journey and relationships, and also certain people relationships that grew different ways too since then. But that was a moment of like being on land, talking about healing, talking about movement, talking about family. We was there for like 4 days. We was definitely arguing. We had to like have a circle. People was about to fight. So we had to like huddle up a couple of times. But we ran, we played race, we cooked for each other. We went tours in the mountain. We lit fires. We was bricked certain nights. Rain land on us. We had intimate conversations by ourselves. Late night one-on-one. We was freestyling in the middle of the night. All of us freestyling in the middle of the night in the middle of the woods with beats going loud. It was so many vibrations of hope and love. It was like, how did we get here? We started H.O.L.L.A in prison. Like we me and my wife, we wasn't even together. Like we here together. Like damn, like H.O.L.L.A in the Center for New Leadership. Like we trying to become one. We got all of our family out here. And like we talking about like taking care of each other, learning from the land, learning from nature. And we was getting taught by nature because we drove off late and we didn't get a chance to have enough time to set our tent. So we was bricked that first night. It's like, yo, you play with nature, you don't get enough fire, you don't try to get out there when you don't come out there on your time. You know, you better get out there on nature time. You know, so we had a rough night. It was a rough first night. Like, yo, everybody woke up the next morning like, damn, so I was bricked last night. So I end by saying that scene, that story represents like collective hope, like how you see hope in many different individuals at one time. And it represents like a journey with your peoples. Because everybody was coming into that place at different places, at different relationship barriers. And we was doing it on land, and it was about movement. So I pass it to one of y'all. Picture of hope. Scene of hope. About healing, sorry. You know, about healing or hope.
Yeah, I want to say our first circle with you guys, man, and when we first met Marlon and him telling us a little bit about the organization, but us not really getting it, you know, and like I can remember on our way there, we asked ourselves like, what is this? What is a circle? What is a healing circle? Like what is it? You know, like we didn't know, you know, and like I said, here we go. And then once we got in that space and the vibes was good, and it made ones like myself that wasn't used to being vulnerable be vulnerable. And just like I don't know, man, it was just like a special vibe that was in the spot, man. Once we got there, started talking and building with y'all, and yeah, we left there with saying we gotta do this again, you know, and we have done it plenty more times and enjoy it, man, because I look at it like therapy, like, you know, like we don't want to go talk to somebody we don't know, you know, and somebody that probably can't relate to what the hell we going through, our war, you know. They can relate in their war, but their war is totally different from our war, and who would know unless we tell our stories. And I think that's important. Us telling our stories is very important, man, and not letting them tell it for us. You know, and yeah, that's a scene I can say that was dope.
Yeah, I got goosebumps, man. That was fire, man. And I think before I pass the LeVar, I think what was deep about that story about vulnerability is that like most of the time before you get hope or you get healing, it's probably that, I don't know, that feeling. Sometimes it's fear, sometimes it's uncomfortability, you know, sometimes it's like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? But like, you know what I'm saying? Lucky I kept going through it. Lucky we was who we was are. And you're right, that day was magical, man. So thank you for sharing that, man, because I don't think people on the screen really understand like what we experienced that day. And even hearing you talk about like, yo, my family don't be with vulnerability, like y'all wasn't really with vulnerability that day either, you know. Y'all was like, yo, we don't know y'all, son. Like, what the fuck is y'all? Like, you know, so that was kind of like our family being. It's like, but we also was like, nah, we our family. Like, we family, champ. Like, we about to be family, son. We about to build. And y'all felt that too. That's what I mean. Like, that the energy could be felt. So,
Yeah.
For me, I would say it was a time, but definitely that was definitely one event. I'm glad we said that, but it was a time when it was open doors. We was out maybe around 2017. We was out in Queensbridge, and we were speaking to youth in the community center and H.O.L.L.A. And I mean, I was there. It was like, you know, it was like that just alone, like it was, you know what I mean? I felt like, you know, when we spoke to them and the youth, it just what our experiences, what we've been through, streets, or everything, like jail, incarcerate, like being shot, like everything, like that gave them a little insight of like what this reality is really about. And you know, you could tell like it woke up a few, and it, like you said, it just gave that. If you could just like, you could tell us somebody, and they could just hear you and understand you, and be like, I know what you're talking about, and then they get it. Like a few of them got it, and that was like, that was like a positive thing and moment right there. And it's like, yo, forever then I was like, that was my main thing. I'm like, yo, I always want to go out and speak to the youth. Like, we want to go to community centers, I want to go to schools, I want to go to everything. Like, you know, just we all felt that, because it's like, yo, it's only right. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what we going through, but I'm gonna pass it on. Oh, one more thing. How it was one thing you said earlier was when we going through that struggle of like, yo, you might feel down, and it's like, yo, how can we, you know, as a healer, how can we heal? How can we get through this down moment? It always be that little small moment throughout our day that we'll never catch from somebody that actually, like, they'll tell you like, yo, they'll tell you something, and it's like you'll get it, and it's like, but it'll just bypass you. But little do they know, like, they just, I mean, gave you that good compliment of just like, oh, what you doing? It's like, yo, keep on doing it, despite, oh yeah, you doing that, I ain't doing that. Well, yeah, I'm passing on the ball.
Nah, wait up, let me get that before you go in far. I be doing healing in a way, and I be connecting to our ancestors. You see, I'm right here at my altar, and I really think about spirit as a pedagogy, as a real thing. And part of what I heard both of y'all said, and I felt it. So I think it's kind of like, you know, it's kind of like that's the hope, that's that energy, that fuel. Like when you go through experiences like that, you're like, damn, because you feel it through somebody else. You like, damn, we went through that. Like that happened. That was real. Like Open Doors wasn't trying to build. Like I even know that story. You was like, yo, like what's the circle? Like, yo, what we about to do? And like we done build so much. Like we didn't know that was gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, but after you get that energy, that whatever that feeling is, whatever that moment happened, you like, oh, let's do this again. And then I hear you, L, talk about it too when you went to Queensbridge and y'all in Queensbridge. Like, it ain't like, I don't hear you like saying like, yo, I'm just giving wisdom to young people. I hear you saying like, yo, something happened where I seen or I felt something. I'm like, oh, this is meaningful. Like this is meaningful. Like this is good for me, and it's doing something for somebody else. Like this is like you get the meaning of it, because you know. So, and that's why I be struggling, like trying to get this and share this more of my family, because of that spirit. Because once you go through one of those experience moments and you got that, sometimes like right now, I don't even know how to explain it all the time. You know what I'm saying? That's why I just call it spirit, because like I don't even know what the name that energy is when you already scared and you vulnerable, but then you do something to work past it or something, or somebody don't want to mess with you, but you be authentic, you be true, and some magic happen. You know, like some magic happen. I don't even know how to explain it. Jump in, Var, help me out. Or you just want to add on a scene to talk about healing, Var, you know, what's coming up for you.
I can't really hear that because I just got interrupted by a phone call.
Oh, sorry. You want me to speak?
I can hear you, but I don't hear you and shit.
Can you hear me now?
It's kind of low.
It's kind of low. So now that's good, man. If you want to share anything in general, we got like 2 minutes left anyway. We were about to wrap up. We was talking about just, you know, scenes of healing in our life and in our work.
As far as healing,
any scenes?
My healing for me is being around family. I'm big on family, especially since I got 6 kids. You know, I got 3 daughters, I got 3 sons. I'm also a grandfather now, so you know, my healing is around being around my family every weekend, getting to see them, you know, peace of mind around them, and talking to my sons about my past experience, not just I don't talk to them about my lifestyle, but just my experience of what happened to me, and try to let them see, you know, the damage to what happened, so that they don't have to experience what I went through. You know.
Thank you. So Facebook Live, man, we are wrapping up our first episode of, you know, thinking about healing through historical trauma with a focus on Black liberation, highlighting the war, and then particularly highlighting the historical violence, a layer within the war, right? And bringing in dope organizers, dope people in general, to share their life and share some of these stories to kind of help us contextualize how we keep doing this work. Is there any last words that you all want to say about this topic? Any shout outs, anything you want to highlight?
I just want to say, it's something this is something more, like you said, when it comes to spiritual, this is something more, I would say is something ancestral damage, or that's more of it, because it's literally going through from our ancestors what they done owe from the past, whether physically or spiritually or mentally. So this is something that we gotta bring better, physical and spiritually and mentally. Like my mom said, every generation has to do better, spiritual, physically, and mentally. Like, unfortunately, but this was true though. Like, this is what God built that, and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Any other last words?
And
shout out to H.O.L.L.A, man. Every time we get around, it's always a good build session.
Facts, big facts, yeah.
So definitely shout out to y'all, man.
Boomerang.
My nigga Corey.
Boomerang, man. We make magic together, man.
Yeah, definitely, man. And I think Al said it all, man. That was deep right there.
That was deep right there, Al. I just add to what El was saying too, man, by saying that like we could heal, and the healing we doing is for our ancestors. It can heal our ancestors. It can heal what our grandmas went through. Like we can't let those stories and those pains and those unacknowledgements keep happening. Then our next generation ain't gonna know better. So part of healing our ancestral damage is acknowledging those pains, loving those pains, because we all come with pain and struggle, but we still dope. And also saying like, oh, we know what transformation is. We know how to get better from that pain. All right, cool. So it ain't about not acknowledging pain, because we all come from pain and we dope. It's about once you acknowledge it, we can pass it on. And that was one of the big things we talked about today, passing the forth. And L started it off with it, passing on our foremothers and forefathers' wisdom. And that's part of healing that ancestral damage. Once again, shout out to H.O.L.L.A, special shout out to Alex and A-Rocks. Shout out to the whole YOC and our legacy and our ancestors. Shout out to Malcolm X. Happy birthday, Malcolm X. We love you. We love you. We love you. Thanks to our big brother Isaac and the Confined Arts for being our technical assistant and support and administrator and developer in the back scene. We can't do this without all of our peoples. Look forward to the next series, because this one is focused on historical trauma. We got another one focused on Black land sovereignty and Black liberation. We've been trying to do work on getting land upstate New York. We got our first show coming up June 2nd. June 2nd with Soulfire Farm. So we're going to be talking about what does it mean to take this healing work back to the land, back to cosmology, back to herbs. So we're going to be having 2 webinar series going at the same time. So this is the first one with Open Doors. Shout out to Open Doors, focus on historical trauma. And we're going to have another one focused on Black land and Black liberation. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Take care and good night. Peace to the ancestors.
All right.